Bucknutters, welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Wednesday, September 20th, 2017. I am Dave Biddle, and I'm very happy to be joined by the People's Champ, Matt Baxendell. Bax, we had interviews last night after Ohio State's practice with offensive coordinator Kevin Wilson, quarterback J.T. Barrett, a few other players like K.J. Hill. Our video interviews with both Wilson and Barrett have both been posted to the site already. We got those up last night, so some of the listeners might have already seen those videos. There was one thing Kevin Wilson said about J.T. Barrett. I'm sure a lot of fans are going to jump all over. Wilson said Barrett is, quote, an adequate passer and an adequate runner. Now, he was trying to give J.T. a compliment. You know, he was trying to say basically he's an adequate passer, he's an adequate runner, and that adds up to being like a really good quarterback. But I know a lot of fans are going to jump all over, you know, even Kevin Wilson saying publicly, yeah, he's adequate, you know. I mean, that's kind of what people have been saying. Nobody says JT sucks. People have basically been saying JT's adequate. What do you make of Kevin Wilson saying JT is adequate at passing the football and running the football?
Just another one of those little things that makes me think that if Kevin Wilson was really completely in control of this offense and completely in control of who was on the field, it would look a lot different. Truth be told, this is how many times that coaches this year about JT have been accidentally honest about him. Remember when Indiana's coach was the same way? He's like, yeah, he's not that good of a passer, but he's a great quarterback. No, he's great. We swear he's great. Look, JT's a great kid. Nobody's saying he's not. Everybody likes JT Barrett. The problem is that everybody knows JT Barrett really can't pass well enough to be a major threat as a quarterback. And I was talking about this yesterday. I was on up in Cleveland with our friends at 92.3, and the same thing came down to every conversation we've had about J.T. Barrett the last 2 weeks. Since the Oklahoma game, it's become painfully obvious to a lot of people that J.T. Barrett can get it done against the teams Ohio State has more talent against, but can he get it done against Penn State? And if Kevin Wilson's sitting there calling his quarterback adequate, it tells you how Kevin Wilson feels about J.T. Barrett's ability to really run this offense. If he was really excited about J.T. Barrett, he wouldn't be using words like adequate. Let's be very honest.
Joe Burrow is now back, medically cleared, practicing, full go. You know, I mean, if JT gets hurt or if they get a huge lead against UNLV as expected, who do you think is going to be the first backup quarterback in the game?
Oh, that's going to be really interesting. Another dimension to this whole discussion is that I don't think Urban Meyer wants to have one of these two backups go ahead of the other. I think he wants the whole off season in spring football for them to compete next year. I think that's his grand plan, and I don't think he's too anxious to make one of them think they're ahead of the other at this point. So that said, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Joe Burrow. I think you could see that Haskins has already played once, so Burrow will get to play once, and then in Urban's eyes, neither one's going to play again the rest of the year because he thinks J.T. Barrett's going to be in for the rest of the year. And, well, let's be honest, there's not going to be a lot of garbage time the rest of the year if J.T.'s in. So, you know, that's probably the truth. But I expect both of them to play a lot against UNLV. UNLV is the kind of game that's 42-3 at halftime.
JT does seem confident. You know, he's never going to be a bombastic kid or anything like that. But we interviewed, like I said, JT last night as well after we interviewed Kevin Wilson, and you know, JT's confident. He feels like, you know, he's heard all the criticism, all of the criticism, but even focusing on the Army games. And yeah, you guys completed a bunch of bubble screens. That's not going to work against a good defense. And he was asked for he was pressed on that. He's like, do you really think that can work against a good defense? And he said, yeah, you guys saw Oregon a few years ago. That was like the bread and butter of their offense. Yeah, but they had Marcus Mariota as their quarterback. Heisman winner, already doing well in the NFL. Slight little difference there. But, I mean, JT is confident. He feels like the bubble screens can work against good defenses. I disagree about that. But he also feels like he added this. He does feel like Kevin Wilson is adding wrinkles each week. And he feels like, JT feels like the offense is moving in the right direction. He's not just talking about games. He's talking about practice. He feels like they're adding things. So at least talking to JT, I mean, he is very optimistic and very confident.
Well, I'm glad he's optimistic and confident. If he's going to play, I certainly hope he's not up there going, oh, man, I'm going to suck again today. Oh, geez, I'm the worst. I mean, I expect him to go out and try his best and do his best. And, you know, here's the thing about JT. Whenever he runs the option perfect, then the offense is pretty dangerous. But those bubble screens he wants to talk about Oregon, first of all, Mariota is a little bit of a difference. The ball got there a lot quicker. And B, the ball got there a lot more accurately. You know, that's one of the criticisms.
Right.
There was one pass in that Army game. It was a little bubble screen. I forget if it was Campbell or Hill or somebody who caught it, right? And it's the kind of play that, hey, you throw it to the guy gets 5-10 yards, no big deal, right? Well, the ball was 2 feet above the guy's head. He had to jump up and get it. By the time he corralled it, it was like a 2-yard gain because JT couldn't even throw that pass accurately. And that's the biggest surprise to me. That's the biggest frustration to me of this whole situation is that I always figured that JT Barrett, once put in a better coaching position, would be able to actually become the accurate passer we had in 2014. And I feel like JT's gotten more and more inaccurate over the last year. And this season, like, even for the games he put up good numbers in, Army and Indiana, right? A lot of his passes were not accurate. Marcus Baugh's completion against Army is a perfect example. He got a 20, 25-yard gain, right? The ball hits him in stride. He walks into the end zone, Like, J.K. Dobbins, the first game of the year against Indiana, hits a wheel route. We're all excited. Wow, what a great pass to the running back. Yay. But Dobbins had to turn around and field the ball in his stomach because it wasn't an accurate enough pass. And that's the problem with JT in a nutshell. It's not just that he doesn't have a strong arm. It's not just that he's not decisive. It's when he throws it, it's not even accurate anymore. And that's the problem is that OSU is going to go out and they're going to kill UNLV. They're going to go out and they're going to kill Rutgers. Maryland might be interesting, but odds are they win pretty big in that one. But Nebraska just lost to NIU, and OSU beat them by scoring 60 last year. I'm not going to learn anything till Penn State. And the real question is does JT Barrett have the ability? Is he confident enough to go out and beat Penn State? This is the Penn State of 2014. Did he could tough it out with a hurt knee running the option, right? And, right now, my confidence in that is long since shattered.
KJ Hill's a guy that's really coming on. 15 receptions on the season, had 18 all of last year. I thought he looked good last year when he got a chance. 15 receptions already this year, had 8 against Army, and he's one of those guys that not only I think has good hands, but he clearly can make plays after the catch. And that's one of the things, in addition to a quarterback that can get the ball there on time and accurately. That's one of the things this offense has been missing is a wide receiver that can make a play, make a guy miss. I always say, what makes a great running back is making the first guy miss. I mean, that's true a lot of times for a wide receiver. Catching the ball is paramount, but after you catch the ball, making that first guy miss can lead to a big play. KJ Hill hasn't really broken a long play yet, but you can see he's got the talent to do it. And I think he's a guy that is just going to continue to come on. Confident, very soft-spoken, but very confident guy. We interviewed him last night. But do you think KJ Hill can continue to be a guy that can emerge for this offense, Bax?
I absolutely think he can be. I've liked KJ Hill very much the entire last year whenever he was, sort of having his first year with any playing time last year. I think a lot of these guys would look significantly better in an offense that actually had the ball driven downfield vertically. And I'm not talking a 40-yard pass. I'm just talking throw it to the sticks complete on a line, a lot of people are seizing on from seeing the one series from Dwayne Haskins is those receivers who were 10 yards downfield, the ball got to them quick and snap, they're open, I think KJ Hill's a guy that with a different quarterback and a different style of offense, he'd be catching 8 passes every game. You can only complete so many passes to guys when they're 5-yard lollipops into the flat or somebody sits down 6 yards downfield, right? A guy like KJ Hill running a 15-yard out with a strong arm quarterback, a 15-yard out route, which you not know if you playbook because he can't throw it, by the way. When was the last time you saw that play? Think about that. There's a lot of things that OSU could do with these receivers that, the more I watch these guys, I'm not convinced that they're not playing pretty decently. And I think KJ Hill of them is probably the best of the group right now. Paris Campbell's obviously the biggest game breaker. Paris Campbell doesn't have the hands to be the guy downfield. You had a different system in place. KJ Hill would be having all kinds of the 13, 15-yard catches left and right because he's fast, he has good hands, he's got good size. And yeah, he surprised me too with what he could do after the catch. I think there's a lot of potential in this receivers group. And, a lot of people have been really down on Zach Smith the last 2 years, wondering what's going on with the offense and everything. And again, I just can't get past what this would look like if we were doing something a little bit differently with somebody who can maybe get the ball there quicker and a little more accurately.
Let's end the show on the defensive side of the ball. Should Tuf Borland be the starting middle linebacker on this team, Bax?
To be determined. And I say that thoroughly enamored with the way he played against Army. But again, I said this in the bucket and I've said it in every spot we've done with the radio since. I hated that game because we didn't learn anything about anything, right? And how do we know that Tuf Borland's remotely capable of playing pass defense at middle linebacker when Army didn't throw the ball? That said, I think that Urban was already pretty high on him if he's walking onto the field as the backup middle linebacker at this point in his career already. I've always been concerned that Chris Worley isn't big enough to play middle linebacker. And I get that they put him in the middle because they wanted their biggest veteran in the middle to sort of help get everybody lined up right. Try to help replace the leadership you saw from Laquan McMillan the last couple of years. But, man, if Borland can remotely play decently against the pass, I mean, we had a middle linebacker, and Curtis Grant for a couple of years, too. Couldn't defend the pass to save his life and was a good middle linebacker, right? Well, if Tuf Borland can defend the pass at all, then you have no excuse, in my mind, for him not to be playing and to put C.J. Worley back on the outside. I think you have a much stronger group of linebackers that way because we know what Baker can do. We know Worley last year was a very good outside linebacker. So if Borland's capable of playing in the middle, leave him in. Like, don't even think about it. And I know that bumps Dante Booker out, but, you know, what we saw from Borland was very impressive. If he's able to play that way against a normal offense, it's a good sign for the way that this season might go for this defense.
Great insights, as always, from the People's Champ, Matt Baxendell. You can catch his column on Bucknuts every Sunday. It is The Bucket. Thank you again to Matt Baxendell, and thanks a lot to the listeners out there for tuning in to the show. I appreciate it. Hope you have a great day. Let's hear that Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.